Hey everybody, Paul Abernathy here. Thanks for joining me on another live stream here at Electrical Code Academy. So we just finished the first draft meetings in Charleston, South Carolina. There was an awful lot of things to discuss down there. Now I was on Code Panel 5, so that was Sunday, Monday, Tuesday. We had quite a bit of work to go through, but a great committee. Always is great committee, great folks on there. And so then I had to work on Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We worked on Code Panel 17. Now, tons of Code Panel members down there this week, probably 150 to 200 CMPs, Code Panel CP Code Panel members, Code Panel members. So CMP, so anyway, members were all down there for the various different articles of the NEC. We were all down there, and I had a great old time finally getting back together after COVID and all that Zoom, online Teams meeting stuff took place. I'm glad it was over with and got to get back together and see some folks. Got to run into some good friends. And again, just talk code. A lot of changes that are going to take place. I've got a series of videos. I'll make sure you subscribe because I have a series of videos that I'll be just discussing some of the things that did take place, some of the public inputs. But let's not forget, folks, that the 2023 NEC just dropped a couple months ago. So even though we're working on the 2026, the 2023 is dropped probably last part of 2023. And so many states have already adopted it now. I know Texas has. I think, Massachusetts has. I want to think somebody said that, I don't know, some other states have dropped it. So we got to prepare. We got to prepare for the 2023. So, but you're going to see me do some videos where I do talk about some of the things that are going to be coming out and discussed during the 2026 cycle. Now, the reason I do that is because I want folks to be involved. So right now, before I get into the Fastracks program a little bit, for those that are interested, we're going through a time now where the public inputs have already come in. We've looked at them. We've resolved some of them that just didn't make sense or they weren't substantiated. And a lot of things got into the code, at least for the first draft. And we still have to ballot them. It means we still have to vote on them. And so nothing's set in stone until we vote. And then it'll produce what's called a first draft, and you'll get to see it. And of course, then you get to make comments on the work that we did all last week. So be some exciting times for you to get involved, and hopefully you will get involved. Okay, so what we're going to look at today is I have, again, more and more people, especially down there. I had quite a few of the people on the code panel. The code panel members were actually like, Paul, can you do some more videos explaining what's in your program so that we can learn how it can benefit us and what we can do with the program? I said, absolutely. We have quite a few videos that are coming out and going to be rolling out, but on different lessons. But I wanted to kind of do an overview of what the Fastracks program is all about. So if you're not familiar with the program, we're going to kind of give you a quick lesson here. So when you log into your console, and this is a 2023 edition, this is what it'll look like. It's broken down into sections, and in each section, you'll have specific units within each section. Of course, there's a video you got to watch first that kind of tells you about how the program works. And then, of course, here is where you learn to upload and download your competency reviews. That's important because things have changed a little bit in the 2023 edition and how you do this. So now you actually will download, work on your competency review offline, then you will upload it and we will grade it and it will come to you. Our responses will come to you in an email. All right. So that's a little different than the way we've done it before. Just, be aware of that if you're going into the 2023, just a little bit different. Now, as far as the material that's covered, essentially the same thing. Oh, by the way, in here, when we have Wednesday night classes, for those that are in our Fastracks program, you will see the link here to get to Wednesday night's sessions. Okay, the link will appear. Right? If you don't see any link in there, like right here, you don't see any link, then that means there's no class that night. So that's how you know whether or not we're having a session on Wednesday night. Okay, so if you see the link, we're going to have a session. If you don't see the link, then we're not going to have a session. Make sense? Okay. This week we're going to be doing a derating demystified on Wednesday night, which is kind of going over adjustment and corrective things. And all that, how to do conductor sizing, dealing with continuous loads, and all those type of things. What's up, Adam? Thanks for joining me on this impromptu live stream. Thanks for joining me. Okay. Oh, if you're watching and you want to shout out in the chat, go ahead and shout out in the chat. We'd love to see you. I kind of didn't give everybody any notice about what we were doing tonight. I knew that when I got back from the event, people wanted me to talk a little bit more about what's in the program and what it covers, because there is some confusion for folks out there. So I want to make sure I cover those things. All right. So in the program, people ask me common questions. What is it going to, what state are these for? Is it specific to any state? And the answer to that is no. It's based on the NEC. So it really doesn't matter what state you're in. As long as your exam is based on the National Electrical Code, then a program is going to be appropriate for you. Now, you're only going to get out of it what you put into it. Okay. Important to realize that. So you most certainly, the more time you put in it, the more effort you put in it, the more you're going to get out of the program, obviously, that type of thing. But to kind of give you a little bit of an overview, hola, Joel, welcome. So here you see it's kind of broken up into sections. And in this section 1, you've got 5 units. We have an introduction, we have definitions, then we have boxes and enclosures, then we talk about the various cable types, and then of course we get into raceways and conductors. And I'll kind of jump right in here a little bit so you can see. So it's broken down. Here's your competency review. Here's a quiz that you should do before you leave every unit. And in here, this is where your competency reviews are going to be. And this is neat. So this is something new that we're doing for the 2023. And this is basically a summary. And so what the summary is, it kind of goes over a quick summary of everything you learned in this unit. So that is something new that we put in here for the 2023. And the whole effort here is just so much information to cover in this unit. And sometimes you'll just breeze right by it. And I'll get questions from people. They'll email me and say, Paul, they didn't show me how to do this or that. In reality, it did. It blew right past it and you didn't really grasp it. So that's why the summary is really good, because it allows you to get a summary. I'll show you. So in here, you get the summary. And in here, it basically will take you through slide by slide and give you the objectives, okay, introduction, and it'll talk through a lot of the stuff that you got in the reading material. So it allows you to give another glance at it. And again, to be able to help you pick up some of the stronger pieces. Okay, so I always encourage you to utilize the summary. Okay, so it'll talk about conduit thicknesses, bending radiuses. Everybody asks what that table 2 is about, chapter 9, table 2. Okay, all these different things. So that's kind of your summary. And a summary, again, is really great to go over because it kind of reiterates things. And again, you pay good money. Hey, look, I'm the first one to tell you that I try to keep my courses affordable. I try to give you more than what you pay for. At the end of the day, though, there's so many little things in here that I want you to make sure that you get every bit of your investment out of it. And I'm here to teach you what I can teach you. And I only can teach you what you ask me. Okay, so keep that in mind. Thank you very much. Medlin, Bob. Maybe it's Bob Medlin. Last name first name last. So I go. Thank you. Appreciate it. Okay, so let's kind of look real quick. So that is you have some videos in here as well. We've thrown in some videos, but this is your reading material. And I want to show you what you've got here. So this is a reading material, gives you a quick summary so you can jump anywhere. I don't recommend you jump, to be honest with you. I recommend you start at the beginning and you work your way through each unit, start the chapter introduction and just work your way through it. Now, for Fastrack students, I encourage you to have a notepad. Now, we have a neat note feature here, so you don't really need the notepad. You can take a note if there's something you don't understand, something that just doesn't make sense. Then what you can do is you can copy it to a note and come to class, open this up in your classroom while we're doing the live sessions on Wednesday night. If you can make it, you're not required to come, but if you can make it, great. But allows you to be able to copy the information, put it in an email, ask me a question, use our message boards. We have a new area over on our website where you can post support questions and things like that. Try to give you as many ways as we can to help answer things in the code for you. And we try to break things down as simple as we can, but I get it. Some of this stuff can be quite confusing. So please feel free to always try to reach out. Just be very clear what unit you're working in, what code cycle, what edition of the Fastracks is, and be as descriptive as you can. I will do my best to try to answer your questions. So anyway, introduction. You simply read through the introduction, kind of tells you what you're going to be covering. Oh, by the way, you have these features up here. You can print any page you want. You can bookmark any page you want to come back later. You can actually change the size of the text on the page depending on whether or not you're using a browser from your phone, or you're using a tablet, or you're using a laptop, or whatever you're using. You can kind of change the size. And then another feature is this feature where it will actually play it out for you. Okay. So
Chapter Introduction. Objectives. After studying this unit, the student should be able to name the maximum number of bins for raceways in.
So this is kind of one of those things we call follow the bouncing ball ballistic. So say you've had a hard day at work, and I know all of you do. You can sit back and read it, follow the bouncing ball. We call that ballistic training. It does help you retain it. Okay. Now, it can be robotic. You can change the speed, the cadence. However, you can change it from female to male. However you want to do that, you just simply go down here, right here, click on it, and you can see where it's medium, and you can change male to female, whatever you want. Okay. And that allows you to be able to listen while you're reading along. And some people, they just learn better that way. That's just one feature. You can use it if you want. But I encourage you to go through the unit, and then you'll get to each one of the units. So we're in Unit 5, and this is Lesson 1. So you drop down to Subdivision 5-1A, Suspended Drop Ceilings. Now, the neat thing about this, folks, is two things I want you to, if you're in our program, two key components here. One is these call outs equate to an illustration. So you read the first one, raceways can be suspended by independent additional support wires. Now, when we say independent additional, so not the support wires that are supporting the drop ceiling, but separate, independent support wires that are secured at both ends from the, let's say, the structural part of the building down to the actual suspended ceiling. So it is supported at both ends, and it's not the support for the grid. This is separate. It's an addition, okay? And the support wires and associated fittings must provide adequate support. So see this reference here? I'll highlight it. Anytime in our program that you see these chevrons, you're going to do what? You're going to stop, and you're going to open your code book, and you're going to look at that code reference, and you're going to read it. Then you come back to the program, right? And then you're going to go down and look at the illustration. All right, so I'm going to go down and look at the illustration. It's A, and here you go, right here, okay? So we're looking at A right here. So this is your support wire for the grid right here. This is an additional, and it's colored red here to show you that it's an additional one, and you see that it's being used right here to support the raceway. Okay, so that's what we're talking about. Not the wire grid supporting wires. We're talking about the additional. And see, it's secured at both ends. So it is actually taut. okay? Not pendulum, not swinging. It's taut, connected at both ends, and it is in addition to what you would put to support the grid. Now, as an electrician, you don't have anything to do with the grid. I don't put the support wires for the grid. So it should be a no-brainer for you as an electrician to realize if I'm going to put raceways up there or I'm going to put boxes up there, I am not going to be using the support wire for that grid. Pretty obvious, right? I'm going to have to install my own. Okay, so this case right here, our program calls these out so you can see it because it makes sense. But that's the powerful thing about going to the code reference, reading it, and then coming back and then looking at the illustration and reading the text. It all starts to make sense, right? So then you go back up here and go to B and say, okay, I get it. Now it says B, boxes can be secured by attachment independent. That's an additional support wire at both ends. Secure support must be provided by the support wires and associated fittings. Again, 300.11b, okay, and 314.23d2, which 314 deals with boxes. Okay, so that's B. So I'll go to my code references, look at it, and read both of those. And I just read 300.11b. So I'm going to go look at 314.23d2. Okay, remember those chevrons. And then I'm going to come back down to B to make it hammer it home. Here you go. There's your independent support. There's your junction box. And B is calling it out. And that is being supported by its independent, again, secured at both ends. Okay? Makes sense? It's one of those things that you just got to get in your mind, the sequences, right? The sequences and going from one to the other, and getting used to it. Adam says, still trying to sort out my Cengage since I paid for the Fastracks Black program, but still enjoying your work, sir. There you go, Adam. I'm not sure what the problem is. You're going to have to let us know what your problem is because I don't control Cengage. Okay, so if you have problems registering or working in Cengage, it's nothing that I can control. Okay, so again, I don't control Cengage. They are where we store the information. So anytime any student has a problem with logging in, creating your passwords and your logins are not something that I control. You create that. So you have to deal directly with Cengage. I can't help with that, unfortunately. Now, the only way that I can help with that is if you were in our budget program. Then I can help because that's on our servers. But all Cengage's stuff is on Cengage's server, that type of thing. And I got over 5,000 students in there. So it's not a widespread problem. So if you're having an issue with Cengage, make sure you reach out to Cengage and make sure you copy me on any of those emails. All right, so that's kind of what we go through. And you just kind of go through it one unit by unit. Okay, maximum bends per one run. Okay, so maximum bends between pull points. We give you the references and everything. And of course, we give you some illustrations here as well. So this is a pull points. Right here's a pull point. So you can look at your bends. So here we got 90. All right, so let's look at all this. So you can't exceed what? 360 degrees of total bend. Okay, we can't exceed that. So what do we got here? So let's we work through this illustration. We got 90, 90. So let's get rid of the 90s. So 90 plus 90 equals, 90 plus 90 equals 180. Then we've got these 30s, 30, 60, 90, and 120, right? So we're going to go 180 plus 120. That's 210. And then you got 10, 10, 10, and 10. So that's 40 plus 40, okay? So in this scenario right here, we do not have more than 360 degrees worth of bends between these two pull points. So we give you great notes to follow through. Again, if you want to bookmark it, say you want to print this, you can right-click, save the image. If you want to print it, you can click right here, and it'll go to a print preview, and you can click print right there. So anything that you want to do on this, you can do. Fittings, again, there's an example right here. So there you go. So that's what you get in that unit, okay? So that's kind of an example of what Unit 5 is, and you really go through every unit. So there's 5 units there in that first section, okay? And then you've got 4 units in section 2. Now, this is where you start getting into load calculations. So for example, I'll just click on this. So this is unit 8, and I'll go back to the beginning introduction. And you'll get the introduction. It kind of tells you what you're going to be covering in this unit. And then it starts out from the very beginning. Talks about compiling the information, how to look at the square footage and all that. So if anybody asks, am I going to learn to do the calcs? Am I going to learn how to do the square footage, 3 VA per square foot? I'm going to learn how to do the appliances, all that. Am I going to learn how to do the heat versus AC? Am I going to learn how to do ranges? Am I going to learn how to do dryers? Absolutely you are. Okay. And it's going to literally walk you through. Again, the best way that you can learn here is to go to the chevron, okay, read it, and then come back and read A, and then go down and see what A is talking about, okay? So here's the front door, here's the porch area, here are the steps going down, and here are the rails that you would grab going down, okay? So the dimensions of this area, typically, the porches are not going to be included in your square footage, but you need to know how to calculate that out if there is a porch or not. Okay, so we go through that, give you some examples of how to do that, and we'll actually take you through dwelling calculations. Okay. Next, we talk about gathering the information. Talk about the square footage. One of the first steps. Next, you got to go find all your fastened in place appliances. Next, you're going to be how many small appliance circuits will be installed. Remember, a minimum of 2 small appliance branch circuits, 210.11. And then you're going to be looking at laundry circuits, a minimum of 1, and work your way on through it. So we take you through the course of action. Now, one of the things that you're going to do with these, as I'll show you, is you'll get these forms. Now, these forms, you should right-click and just save as an image, okay? And then you can print it off. Or you could print it from here, click print, and you can print it here as well, okay? Just set it up for your printer, and you can print it off and be able to use it, okay? So again, you can click print, and it'll print it. Why do you have these forms? Well, forms are critically important during this learning phase, because you're actually going to learn the different steps. And for example, the standard method, the first step is your VA, 3 VA per square foot, right? Next thing you do is minimum of 2 small appliance branch circuits, minimum of 1 laundry circuit, and then you get to apply demands, okay? So when you're applying those demands, you're going to be looking at table 220.45, which used to be 220.42. So that is a change in the code for 2023. And that's going to tell you the first 3,100%, right? And it's going to tell you the next 117,000 at what? The next 117,000 at 35%, okay? And anything over that, anything over 120,000, you're going to be doing at 25%, okay? So you learn the different steps, and this walks you through it right here. For example, 3 times, and you put your square footage, it's going to be here. Now notice these hashes, they're just going to be a summation where you're going to add all these up. They're not going to be in your total load calc. That's the solid ones. This is just the first part of your process. You take the numbers that you have here, 1, 2, and 3, you add them right here. Okay, then you take line 4, you put it right here, you minus 3 because the first 3,100%. Okay. Right, so that's where you got that, and that's where your value goes right here. So it says if it's 117,000 or less, skip to 8, which is you come down here, and you're going to go straight from here to here to here and put the value here times 35%, boom. And then you come back and you're going to add the 3,000 back, okay? It's pretty straightforward. There is not going to be any value over 120,000, so this would be blank. And then 8 would be the value we had right here. So that would be 3,000 plus whatever your value was here. And then that's your first value. Does that sound complicated? Okay, it's a lot of words. But with this form, you literally follow the steps to go through it, okay? It does, and you might have to do it a couple times. But once you get used to this form, you will slowly see that the slashes here are for the additive sums, okay? These solids are the ones that are actually going to go in your calculation, okay? And we talk about the fasten in place appliances, then we move on to clothes dryers and electric cooking appliances, heating or air conditioning. Then we go into the largest motor, and then we get the total VA, divide that by the voltage, and that's what's going to be your minimum amperes. And that's the minimum amperes. And then you're going to have to size the minimum size service or feeder based on the values in 240.6a for the overcurrent protected devices. Okay, so sounds complicated to many people. And this is the kind of stuff that you find on your exam, and you might be asked to do any little piece. And so the reason that we recommend using this form is because it teaches you every little piece, okay? Every little element that you work with, okay? So that's why we recommend using the forms, because it does allow you to get to know each little piece. Now, the other good thing is there's code references here. So in case your mind is having a brain freeze, you've got the code references there to help you out. And that's really what you need at this point. And that's what these forms are for. So we have a form for the standard method and the optional method. And we have forms also for multifamily and non-dwelling applications. But anyway, this is the single family dwelling form. And here's the other thing we do. We actually will walk you through an example. We'll give you a house. So here's your house values, okay? Here's your values here. And we're going to walk you through a whole calculation. So we start out line 1 in your form, okay? In your form, we start out and you hear all these little call outs. So here's what line 1 looks like on your form, right there, okay? And what we're doing is we're using the values from this right here. So when I click this plus, okay, it shows me everything over here, okay? So one of the things I recommend you do is print this. And when you print it, it will show you everything, okay? And so this is what you're going to use to work through your calculation. So I would print this. So you would click print, and that would send you over to printer, and you could print it, okay? All right, and so that's what you want to do. And then what you're going to do is you start working through each one of these. 1A is going to be talking about how you fill out each piece of it, and it explains each little piece of it with the applicable code references, okay? So, all right, so there you go. You work through it. There's your code references. Here's your code reference down here. Highlight that, okay? So, makes sense? That's the step-by-step process to using the forms in the program, okay? So I encourage you to use those forms. All right, so then you want to remember that you've also got here services. And so you want to make sure you use services and electrical equipment. You have your competency reviews. Now let me show you real quick the competency review, what it looks like. So when you click on competency review, here's what it's going to load like. Now you want to start your assignment now. And when you click this, what you're going to do is download it right here. Okay, let me make sure it's showing up. Yes. So you download it right here. So when you download it, okay, it's going to be an editable PDF. You're going to work on it offline at your own leisure. Take your time. Make sure you don't leave anything blank. I don't like blanks. Okay, so fill everything out. Support all of your questions, all your answers. Support them all with code references. Hey, what's up, Alberto? Thanks for joining. Richard, thanks for joining, Richard. So don't be in a hurry here. Don't try to submit it and leave it blank. Again, you should be struggling and try to keep going. At least put some code references, because I can tell you right now, folks, if you leave it blank, and I should show you what you got to do when you submit it. I'm sorry. So once you download it, you're going to come back here again, and you're going to choose the file right here. Okay, choose file, and you're going to locate wherever you saved that PDF, and you're going to attach that PDF to that file, and you're going to upload it. Okay, and submit your assignment, and I'm going to grade it. And we grade Monday, Wednesdays, Fridays. For those that didn't get graded on Friday, I'm sorry. I was down at the NFPA meetings in South Carolina, so I'm a little behind, but we will grade them Monday. So we will get all caught up. But once you submit it, it will go into the queue and it will be graded. And I'm going to tell you right now, guys, if you leave the code references blank, except for in some calculations where there is no code reference needed. For example, ones that are near the bottom where you have to just do the VA divided by 240 or whatnot, I don't need a code reference for that. That's a simple math. But if there is something in here that you actually have to use, for example, if I'm doing appliances and I'm looking at it, I'm like, okay, 220.53, then I need to give me 220.53 to support why I did my calculation. You get me? So at all cases, try to supply the code references. I hate when you leave it blank, because if I think there is a code reference and you leave it blank, you may get the answer correct. I'm still going to mark it wrong. And you think, and if you're worried about that, remember, my grades simply don't matter. It's what matters on the exam. So I'm going to be a little tougher than most exams. I want code references to support your answers, the best that you can give me. Now, you give me a code reference, you still have the right answer. Maybe the code reference is a little off. I'm not going to mark it wrong because you gave me a code reference. You believe that supported your answer. But I hate when they're blank. It just drives me absolutely bonkers when it's blank. So anyway, that's when you're going to choose your file and you're going to upload it. Okay. So anyway, you go through the unit. That's unit 2 through 6. And then you've got, 6 through 9. I'm sorry, section 2. And then you're going to get down to section 3, which is unit 10 and unit 11. Now, 10 gives you some comprehensive provisions for multifamily dwelling applications, but load calculations, and that's what everybody's been asking me. Does our program have load calculations? Absolutely, it has load calculations. And I encourage you to use the forms. So let me show you here. For this load calculation, I'll go into the read it material. Here you go. I'll go into the introduction, just like we did before. Here's the introduction, kind of gives you a heads up on what you're going to be encountering. Okay, it does have some information here. I encourage you to read it. And then you're going to go on to your unit. And here we're talking about load calculations. And again, we're going to be talking about all of the things that you have to pull together. Okay, the smaller of the two or more non-coincident loads can be emitted as long as they never energize simultaneous. That's 220.60. Make sure you read that and understand it. Although the electric dryer is not a requirement for load calculation, be sure to include the dryer load in units containing electric clothes dryers. What does that mean? Well, did you know that cooking and clothes dryers are not a requirement of the NEC or not a requirement of an installation? However, if you use them in an install, you have to account for those. And that's why we have 220.55. That's why we have 220.54. So the laundry circuit is a requirement, right? But a dryer is not. But if you do have one, or if your exam question has one, then by all means, you have to account for it. It's not like you can just say it doesn't exist, right? So just going to make sure that you account for it. And you go down through it. Anyway, it kind of gives you a synopsis of all the things that you're going to be pulling together for these various units, right? And then what does it do? Starts you and lets you know, okay, here's what you're going to be doing. You're going to be doing a 12-unit complex, okay? So right out the bat, 12 units, and it's going to be explaining what's going on. Okay, so A, you see here, this is your meter stack, okay? Multifamily meter stack. Each unit's identical. Next, it's going to say a multi-occupancy building. Each occupancy must have access to the unit service disconnecting means. So 230.72C, what are you going to do when you get these chevrons? You're going to stop and go and see what it means. Read it and say, okay, well, that means that every person that occupies this building, each occupant, must have access to their own service disconnecting means. Okay, that's what it means. And that is pretty much kind of a question you may see on an exam. But basically for the illustration is right here. Each one of these units, each occupant has to have access, okay, to their service disconnecting means. All right, anyway, you go through each one of these, and then here you go. You get another form. I encourage you, okay, to print off this form. Now, I know people that do multifamily buildings all the time. They print these off, and the easiest way to do this, by the way, is you can either click print up here, and it will create this over here, and it'll print the whole thing. Okay, you do it this way. You can print it, or you can right-click on the image, copy the image, or save the image, and then you can print it from an image. That's really up to you. But at the end of the day, I know people that print these out and then they laminate them so that they keep them in their code book so they can kind of do these multifamily calculations, and they'll do it. And that's what they use to submit to the municipality for verification, if that municipality requires that. So they're all here for you. So you can just kind of work through them. And then what we do here is we start at line 1 again. Take your time. Go through each little piece here. Now, all right. Now, so you're saying, okay, what are the values that I'm going to be using for this unit? Okay. So again, you're going to go through each unit, and here it is right here. So you can right click, copy this image, print this image off, whatever. This is what's going to be used for each individual dwelling unit as we start to fill it out. And remember, there was 12 units. Okay, so you're going to be using this for each unit. Okay, and so you make sure you print that off. This is kind of giving you the groundwork, and there's your form. Okay, and we simply will walk you through line by line. Now, why again is that so important? Because if I teach you how to do each little piece, if our program focuses on little bite-sized knowledgeable pieces, that if you get on an exam and they ask you any little piece, you'll know how to do it. If they want to know what is the value for standard method for the appliances, and they've got 12 units and there's 3 appliances in every unit, well, that's pretty easy, right? How many appliances do you have? 3 times 12 equals 36 appliances. Obviously, 4 or more, you get to apply 75% demand factor for that. Doesn't matter that it is in any one unit, it doesn't have to be more than 4 or more. Okay. It is what? It is the cumulative value for all of these. So again, when you're looking at it, and I'll show you this again, when you look down here and you look here on the form, you'll see fastened in place appliances, right? 220.53. Here it says if 4 or more appliances, you get to apply a demand factor. If it's fewer than 4, then you're just going to take them at their full VA. Now, since this is 12 unit building, if I've got 3 appliances in each unit, dude, that's 36 appliances. You most certainly are going to be able to have 4 or more appliances. Remember, we're doing a load calculation for the entire building, not just the individual dwelling unit. Okay. So we will walk you through each little piece. Print off anything you want, bookmark anything you want, change the size of the text, whatever helps you. It's all available for you here in this unit. Right? So we take you through that. And then the next thing we do is we take you into Unit 13. Now, I will tell you right now, the 3 hardest units in our program is 8, 11, and 13. And it is humbled a many of electrical student because, again, you're answering questions and you have to understand the concepts of calculations. If you're using the form, it becomes a little easier if you get used to using the form. But remember, if you have to take a unit more than once, it's okay. It's fine. Don't stress out about it. It's perfectly normal. A lot of the questions that we ask are going to be much harder than what you'd see on an exam, right? But I just want to make sure you know how to do all the steps. So at any point you don't understand any one of those steps, come and join me on Wednesday nights. And I'll ask you, I'll go around the room. I'll say, okay, guys, is there a unit anybody wants to look at? And we will literally go there and look at the unit with you. And I will work it out with you. Okay. I mean, sometimes you can ask some of the people that may be in this room that were some of our students. I'm sometimes in there for 2 and 3 hours answering questions for people because I want to make sure that when you walk away, you have that answer that you need. Okay. All right, so anyway, there you go. So now here's unit 13. I'll show you what it looks like. And you go to the introduction. Again, this is very important to read because there's code references in here. There's various tables in here that you need to read and be aware of. And then you're going to get into your load calcs. And down here, again, we're going to be, this is a non-dwelling unit. Now I'll go back real quick to show you. You have to scroll down and you read all of this information, okay? Everything you see here. And then we're going to get into it. So here, we're basically telling you the values. So right here, it says a load of 15,300 VA would be placed in line 1 for commercial occupancy, having 75 duplex and 10 single receptacles, okay? So basically, if you think about this and we walk you through it, is what? 75 of them of duplexes and then 10 singles. They're all on a single yoke, right? Whether it's a duplex or single. And so in that scenario, it's 75 plus 10, so you have 85. And what did we learn from the code? If you'll learn as you go through the basic unit 12, before you even get to 13, you'll learn that it's 180 VA per strap. So in this case, 75 plus 10 is 85 times 180. That's 15,300 VA. That will go right here. Notice these hashes, okay? And it also reminds it right here again with the code reference. Right there, okay? And you will see that it reminds you that we talked about this in Unit 12, and then it talks about the number of yokes, devices on a yoke in Unit 12. So that's what's so important. Unit 12 builds you up to Unit 13. They work together. So many people forget that. They do 12, then they get to 13, and they say, okay, what am I supposed to do? Well, you're building on everything that you learned in Unit 12, right? And so line 1, you're going to put 15,300 right here because that has to do with what? You had 75 duplexes and 10 single or simplex receptacles, all of them on a single yoke, so it's 180 VA each. Makes sense? And you simply walk your way through it. Then you'll go to line 2. It will paint the scenario for you. And you basically are just going to fill in the blank, okay? And granted, here is the form that you can print out. And this is the first one you just did. And here's the mixed outlet assemblies right here. So again, print this out. You got the print feature. It'll print it all out. So it's kind of steps you through it. It's really hard to get lost in it. Make sure you have all the forms. That's the best advice I can give students. Print these forms out, Unit 8, 11, and 13. Print them out right away so that you have them. Cut them out, do whatever you want, laminate them, whatever you want. Print out multiples, and then have them ready, okay? All right, so anyway, it walks you through it, tells you what to put in the box. And then, of course, again, it'll talk about 220.14h right here. It's talking about it. And remember, what do? When you see these chevrons, you stop, you go to the NEC, you read it. Then you come back and it makes sense. Then you go to the next one, which is 220.14h2. You read it. Then you come back and it makes sense. And then you go back up here and you follow what it says to do right here. And it all will start to click together, okay? So this kind of gives you the lesson right here. Then it explains how this would be done and gives you the code reference to explain where all that came from. So that's how this unit works. It gives you the info, then it gives you the references, and you then take the info from the top and you fill in the blank. So you should have a running value on your form in this unit. Okay, then it gets you onto line 3. Again, it's going to give you the information that typically you would have in a commercial building. These things are either on the blueprint or given to you. And then you would work your way through it. And you just go 1, 2, 3, step by step by step, all the way down. Okay? Pretty straightforward. Now, once you get through that, then you start getting to these last 5 units. And this is the stuff that's kind of picks up all that loose ends from the hazardous classified location, healthcare applications, industrial locations, special occupancies, special equipment, and kind of brings it all together. There's 19 full units here that you got to work through. That's not all. We also give you a bunch of other materials. So down here, you've got bonus material. This is just things, how to develop your communication skills, customer-centered culture, telephone skills. This is all extra. And feel free to do it if you want. It's all bonus. And this is a 2023 edition, by the way. Now, you also have, I gave you the practice exams down here. So you have all these practice exams. Now, I will tell you, these are based on 2017 and 2020. They are not 2023, but that's okay because most of the time you're just trying to get your lookup skills. However, we did give you this bonus database right here. This shows you how to do it. And then you click here, and this will take you to where you get the resources, and you just copy these numbers, and that's how you get access to that database. And all of those in that database are most certainly on the 2023. The thing I wanted to do is I wanted to give you more. So I gave you even more questions, and I even took the databases out of the previous editions of the Fastracks. And for all you 2023 folks, I gave them to you as well, okay? Now, something new that we did for 2023 is down here on these flashcards. Now, these flashcards are typically blank. Now, I have a couple that I made up here for you, but these are typically blank cards. And you're going to create your own cards because I want you to create your own cards. All right, so let's see here. Let me go down here and let's see here. I will see this card and let's see here. This one is Article 210, and you could create your own card by clicking Create a Card. And right here, I could do, let's do, for example, motors. And down here, you could put Article 430, and you could do that in motors right there. Okay, so I'm going to save it. All right, so flashcards, motors, Article 430. Boom. You should be creating your own flashcards. Again, I've got some that I've given you in here, but you really should be creating your own. Now, I will go on and delete this card. And actually, I want to delete all of these cards because I'd prefer to have you do your own card. So I'm not sure it's not letting me delete this. So these okay, I know why. Because I'm in the student one. I'd have to remove these from the main master. So we've given you 3 in here to kind of as an example, okay? But you can delete any one that you make just like I just did, or you can create your own. Now, when you create them, only you will see them. When I create them, everybody will see them, okay? So I've kind of given you 3 here as test samples for you to be able to create it. But why is this powerful? I am a big believer in flashcards. Create them for every article, create them for every major table, like grounding and bonding 250. Do one for 250.66 for grounding electroconductors. Do one for 250.122 for equipment grounding conductors. Do one for 250.102C1 for supply side bonding jumper, grounded conductor, main bonding jumper. All of that is 250.102C1. Create you as many flashcards as you can, and at the end of each session, do a couple flashcards. Get it to where you can just rattle off the different articles. That way, when you pick up this code book and you're ready to go in there for an exam, you are ready. These little tabs will mean nothing because you just simply could move your finger across the top like this and see it, and boom, know where I'm at, okay? You'd sit there and go, boom, that's 610. That's cranes and hoists. You'll look at it and say, boom, 230 services, all right? 215, you're going to be looking at feeders. 210, branch circuits. 225, feeders and branch circuits outside, okay? 100, definitions. You'll be just kind of rolling through it, and you'll get it, okay? 334, non-metallic sheet cable. 336, tray cable. 338, service entrance cable. You will get fluid at it. Flashcards are definitely a way to do that. Okay. And then lastly, again, anytime that I were to bookmark something, let's just show you an example. If I were to go in here and I go right here and I want to bookmark it for later, then when I go over here into my study hub, I click on it. If I go to bookmarks, that's the bookmark that I just did. And as you can see, it will take me right there. So bookmarks are powerful. Also, when I highlight something, let me show you an example here. Let me go in my highlights and let's see if I can get rid of, let me delete these highlights real quick. And let me show you how this works. Bear with me, I'll delete it. Let's see if I got any more. Let's see here. You can make them and delete them as you want. Just delete these highlights. I don't need them anymore. And I'm going to show you what you do. Okay, let's get rid of that one. Okay, so I've got no highlights. So let's say I was in here and I want to ask me a question on Wednesday night, something you don't understand, like, Paul, all right, what does this mean? So I can highlight it, right? But I can also left click and drag it. I can read it. I can add a note for later. I can even create a flashcard with it, right? Now the note you add, okay, it reminds you of the note and then you can use that for when you come to class. But check this out. So I highlighted this. So let's say I'm in my unit, okay, and I want to get to highlights. I go over here to the study hub. I click on study hub. I go to my highlights. There's what we just highlighted right there. And watch the left side. It will take me directly to what I highlighted. And that way I can come to class and say, Paul, I highlighted something in Unit 18, Subdivision 1D. Can we go look at it? Portable switchboards on stages. And we can go there and look at it and even go to this code reference and read it. So again, that's a powerful feature that it's highlighting and lets you highlight things. Okay. All right. A lot of powerful things that you can do. Let's go to chat. Anybody got any questions about the Fastracks program? I'm more than happy to answer them for you. If you're having any problems with your Fastracks, remember one of the features that we have added now is over on fastracksystem.com. We have a support feature. Up at the top, you'll see in the menu a support, right? And in that support feature, you can register an account and you can go and post your questions under the support feature and we will answer any of your questions. Again, I can't do anything about the Cengage. Now, if you're in a budget program, I can help you. But when it's the Cengage, that's a secure login. You're the one that creates your information. Once you get your course login information, I can't help you with that. Now, from time to time, I might ask you to get your username and your password because I don't have access to that. But we can log into your account and sometimes correct some things that way. But I will have to ask you for that information to be able to do that because, again, I don't have access to your account. That's your account. Okay, it's not in our servers. That's why we partnered with Cengage to be able to do that. We want to use their secure server and their university style login Blackboard platform. That's why we pay the money to do that. And that's why your console looks totally different than it would be if you're a budget student. That's a little different access way to do that. Okay. All right. All right, folks. That's pretty much it. Hopefully you got something out of it. It went a little longer than I wanted to tonight. That is my Fastracks program. It is available in 2017, 2020, and 2023. And also be aware to subscribe because I will have some classes coming up soon on some other calculation stuff. And I'm going to be talking about some of the changes that are coming for the 2026. Now, I know what you're thinking. You're thinking, Paul, my state hadn't even adopted the 2023 yet. I know, but it's nice to see where everything is going. And there was some significant changes that are underway for the 2026. And I'll be doing some videos to talk about what's going to happen in the 2029. I know that is so far away, but I find it incredible the direction that we're going, and I want to share with you the direction that NFPA is taken. So hopefully you'll catch me in some of those. and join me in those in the future. All right? All right, folks, till next time, stay safe, God bless, and I hope you got something out of it. If you want to get more information on our Fastracks program, do me a favor. Just go to our website and watch the demo. And if you have any questions, please, by all means, reach out to us. We're more than happy to answer any questions at all on our Fastracks program. All right? All right, folks, till next time, stay safe. And if you're a Fastracks student, I'll see you.